Okay, so like Carrie said, I'm Elena Harmon, and I'm Infomedia's marketing manager. But before I joined Infomedia, I've been here for about 3.5 years now. It'll be 4 years in December. Prior to joining the team, I was a student at UAB, go Blazers, and I was a social media intern there. And usually internships last a few weeks to a few months, but this one actually lasted for 3 years. And so I learned a lot about social media during my time there. And as you can imagine, running a social media platform for a school for that long can get pretty repetitive. So just kind of learned to get creative with that. And also, when you're running social media for something besides your personal Instagram or your personal Facebook or something like that, it's easy to get behind quickly if you don't have a plan. And it is also easy to really overthink it, especially if you're running something for the company you work for, something like that. So I'm here to make it easy for you. And that being said, I'm going to break this kind of into two main parts. And those are going to be strategy and content. And like I said, it can be challenging to run especially multiple platforms multiple times per week, like posting multiple times per week on all of those platforms. And my bosses make me post 4 times a week on 4 different platforms. So I get it, but the reason that I'm able to do that consistently and do it well is because I have a strategy and I know the plan. So start with strategy. And the first part when you're thinking about your strategy is you want to define your goal. So what are you trying to get out of your social media? Why are you on social media in the first place? Are you trying to grow your audience and, gain more followers, go viral? Are you trying to showcase your products, show what's new and what's back in stock, or bring awareness to the services you can provide for people? Or are you trying to build brand awareness and just stay in front of your customers' eyes on a more consistent basis? No matter what your goal is, or if it's a combination of all of those things, knowing your why and what you're doing on here in the first place is going to help you plan for success. So once you know why you're on social media, it's time to start thinking about your strategy. And that, by strategy, I really mean like schedule. So we do it monthly at Infomedia, but if you don't want to think out that far ahead, you can also just do weekly. The reason to do this and do that in advance is because it helps with consistency. And you're going to hear me harp on the importance of consistency quite a bit. If you think about how you feel when you go to a business's Instagram and they haven't posted since like 2018, obviously you're going to think, this business is either closed or maybe they're just not as involved as I want them to be. It's a little bit of a reflection of customer service, whether directly related or not. Staying consistent where you say you're going to is just important and helps to build trust with your clients and your audience and just build authority in your industry. So choose how often to post and choose where you want to post and stick to that. And so when you're thinking about how often you want to post, obviously think about how much time you have. Be rational and realistic about how much time and effort that you're going to be able to put into this. And don't bite off more than you can chew. It's easy to think, it's just a social post. It's just, a few photos and writing a caption every week. But really, there's a lot more that goes into it. So be realistic and make sure that you don't overcommit to that. And when you're thinking about where you want to post, which platforms you want to be on, research and see what's best for you, because strategies for each platform are different and they do vary. And think about where your audience is most likely to be. So is your audience younger? Are they part of like my generation? They're likely to be on Instagram, TikTok, things like that. But if you're speaking to the B2B crowd, LinkedIn is probably a good place to be. But think about that and think about where you're already having success. And it's always better to focus on where you're already having success if you're not sure what to do. And then once you know where and when you're posting and you're deciding what to post, think about a mix between graphics and photos. So it's pretty difficult to have photos for every single thing that you want to post about, especially if you don't have like scheduled photo shoots all the time. You don't want to be waking up and being like, what am I going to post today? And then going to find a photo of something random. And so if you don't have a ton of photos, you can definitely mix in graphics, and I'll talk more about that later. And if you need some inspiration, I also do this just every month anyway, but look up the national holidays for ideas. So I'll just Google like August national days. And there's really a national holiday for just about everything, and you can usually find something in that month to twist for a social post. Sometimes it's a little bit of a stretch, but those kinds of things usually end up being pretty engaging because people aren't expecting them. And so an example of this is like a couple of weeks ago, it was National Coloring Book Day, which you probably think, that doesn't apply to Infomedia. Why would Infomedia have a coloring book? Well, we do have a coloring book. So I went ahead and made a social post for that day and just showcased our coloring book. So anything like that that you can think of that would apply to your business, even if it's a little bit of a stretch, it always makes a fun post. And once you know when and where you want to post, it's always good to automate where you can. So Infomedia uses a scheduling platform. We use Sprout, and we love it. There are also a lot of other ones that you can look into. But basically, this just helps you have all of your posts ready to go beforehand, and you can schedule them so that you don't even have to post at all. You don't even have to worry about it. You can load the graphic or photo that you want, type your caption, and schedule the posts. And Sprout even has a feature where it shows you the optimal times to post for that day and rates them like 1 through 5 stars. And it's very helpful to just save those steps and, like I said, not have to remember to post every time you need to. If a scheduling app or platform isn't in the budget, a lot of those are paid. You can also just set up your posts as drafts, and that way you'll still have to go and post it when it's time to post, but you won't have to go and pull your graphic, photo, caption, and everything, and that can just save a lot of time. So I definitely recommend saving time where you can and automating those things where you can. So once you know when, where, and how you're going to post, it's time to start thinking about your content. And I am going to go back to the graphic conversation now. The reason that Infomedia is so consistent on social media is because we use graphics. I found an interest in graphic design when I started doing this, so sometimes it is a little bit of just a fun thing that I love to do, but it's also very, it helps us with consistency. It helps us to be in front of people all the time. So we use Canva to create graphics, and I will probably beg Canva to sponsor me until the day I die, but their pro plan is very worth it. I believe it's like $120 a year for one person, and then there's also a Teams plan that you can do that's more expensive, but Canva allows you to do so many things and save a lot of time. One of those things is easily access your branding. So the pro feature of Canva allows you, I think it's called Brand Hub, but you're able to put in your logo, your brand colors, and your fonts, and then just have those easy to click right when you need them. Believe me, it's really annoying to have to type in like hex colors for, or hex codes for colors when you're trying to do those quickly. So this just makes it really easy. And if you don't have branding or brand colors, I am going to plug Infomedia real quick because you should definitely get a brand guide. That is one of the things that really helps our social media look awesome. And it will not just be your social media, it'll be your whole brand, your website, all of your marketing materials. The brand guide, we come up with those colors and logo and all of those fonts and stuff for you. But Canva allows you to easily access that. And it also allows you to create designs with any dimensions, so you can type in like custom dimensions, or you can search Instagram post or Facebook post or Facebook ad. And then once you have created that design, you can actually easily resize it, which saves a ton of time. When you're posting on multiple different platforms, all of those platforms like different sizes, of course. They want to make it as difficult as possible, it seems. But Canva makes it easy. The Pro feature, again, allows you to just type in what size you want to resize that into, and then at the click of a button, you can take an Instagram post and turn it into like a Facebook ad. Canva also allows you can create your own templates, but there's also hundreds of templates for anything you need. So what I like to do is create like a design and call it blog templates or podcast templates or something like that. And then when you're in that design, in the tab on, like in the left sidebar, search for templates. So you can search blog or podcast or whatever you're promoting. And literally hundreds of awesome templates will come up. You can click those and they'll automatically go in your design, and then you can just change them to your branding and save them for later. And that is how I pretty much run every graphic. Like I have a template already created, and all you have to do is switch out the text and the photo for those. And you can also take advantage of Canva's enormous library of graphics and icons. So when I am creating graphics, there's often, you want to have a little icon or something on there to represent like what the post is about. Canva has thousands of those. So literally anything from shapes to icons to like doodles just to fill space, Canva makes that really easy to do. And you can do it even if you aren't a designer. I have no training in graphic design, but I think Infomedia's graphics look pretty good, and so I think that y'all can definitely do that too. And then batching content is incredibly helpful when you're thinking about what you're posting and thinking about your strategy. So figuring out a way to streamline the process the best way you can is going to be super helpful. Most people don't have time for photo shoots every week, so what we do is plan quarterly photo shoots. You can do monthly, you can do quarterly, but quarterly seems to work pretty well. And think seasonal. Think about what kinds of content you'll need for the quarter and plan to shoot those things all at once. We always like to capture our company culture and just kind of life around the office, but think about your business and what you're going to be posting about often, and then make sure to go into your photo shoot with a plan. So I like to schedule the participants ahead of time, make sure that you have people committed to the shoot, and that they know exactly where they need to be, when they need to be there, and what they need to wear. That's really important. And going into it with this plan will help make sure that you get all of the shots you need. If you don't have a shot list or scheduled participants, you'll likely have a really chaotic day and then end up only getting like 5 or 10 shots when you could definitely get a lot more than that if you go into it with a shot list. So again, think seasonal, think about your strategy and what you have planned, and then I create a shot list and make a checklist. I print it out, and then on the day of the shoot, I walk around and make sure that we're getting every single shot and checking those off. And again, that just helps us to make sure that we're getting everything we need. And then when you're thinking about scheduling your participants, it's also not a bad idea to have them bring like a change of clothes or a jacket. That's kind of a way to just like cheat and make it look like your photos were taken at different times, even though they weren't. So print out your checklist, make sure everyone knows where they need to be, and your photo shoot will go off perfectly. And then once you have all of your photos, if you can, it always is helpful for me to batch write the captions or create the graphics all at once. Just because for me, whenever I get kind of in that deep work state with one task that I'm doing, it helps me to kind of crank out a lot more of that if I'm just sitting down. So like take a couple hours at the beginning of each month or so and do that if you're able to. And lastly, repurpose your content. And I'm preaching to the choir when I say this because I tend to try to reinvent the wheel every time. I always am thinking of the next new thing. But your audience is not paying as much attention to your content as you think they are. We all tend to get a little bit more self-absorbed than we probably realize, and we think that people are memorizing everything that we're posting. But they're worried about their own stuff. They're worried about their own job or their own life. And I promise no one is going to notice it if you used a little bit of your blog post in your Instagram caption. So think about all of the resources that you have with your marketing. Like, do you send out a monthly newsletter? Are you posting blogs? If you have a website, you have website copy. You have content. You just need to repurpose that and use it for your social media. And I promise you, you will have a lot more than you think. So I saw this example on LinkedIn. It was like use your H1 of your blog post as your tweet. and then use your excerpt as your Instagram caption and your H2s as a LinkedIn carousel. It's not always that simple, but that just kind of gives you an idea of how you could repurpose a blog post and use it for a lot of different things on social. And you can also easily create infographics out of blog posts, and that's something that we do pretty often. And then, link those social posts to your website, and you can boost them or just share those posts, and that's going to drive website traffic as well. So your social can work with all of the aspects of your marketing. And just try not to get stuck in the loop of the same content over and over. I know that it's tough because, like I said, I'm planning and strategizing for our social every month, and I forget that we have content to repurpose all the time, but Anna, our copywriter, is awesome at reminding me. So yeah, just think about all of your resources and definitely be sure to plan, and I think that you'll have a great social media strategy in no time. And that's all I've really got, but I would love to take some questions.